I'm going to talk about economics and religion as it pertains to Judaism. Right? And what I thought I would do tonight is just give you an overview of this field, sort of an introduction to the field, give you an idea of the scope of material that we cover. It is a new field, really. The seminal article appeared in the 1970s, and the next article didn't appear until the mid-80s. And then since then, it is just growing because it's very exciting. So the basic insight that came with these seminal studies is that religion is an economic good. Now, we don't normally think of religion as a good, but of course, as economists, we know goods are, in the economic sense, is more broad than just material things. It includes anything that we're willing to spend our resources on, basically. It's good as distinct from bad. It includes services, it includes intangibles as well as tangibles, and the basic indicator that something is a good is that you find people who are willing to spend money on it, right? Voluntarily, without being forced. And the other resource, which is very scarce, that we worry about is time. We have a budget for money and we have a budget for time. And religion is something you see lots of people spending both money and time on, and therefore, by definition, it's an economic good. So that's the basic insight. And that's where that just opens up lots of doors, because as economists, we know a lot of things about goods, right? And how people, demand, supply, markets. So that's what we're going to go through. But first, I think, before getting into the meat of this, we ought to talk a little bit more about just what is this good that we call religion, right? Because it's everybody knows what it means, but not everybody bothers to define it in a way that is rigorous, that we can handle with our economic models. So the initial article, the seminal article that came out by Ozzie and Ehrenberg in the 70s, actually argued that religion is a bundle of three different economic goods that are all sort of intertwined. And I find this very helpful. The first good that they talked about was spirituality. Right? Spirituality is really the essence of religion. And there have been a number of articles talking about economics and religion that you wouldn't know that there was any spiritual dimension to this at all. But actually, you can't really think of religion without thinking of worship, prayer, and the spiritual needs of a human being seem to be very basic. Religion is something that you see in all kinds of societies, in every time and place, going back, right, to prehistory almost. And so its spiritual needs are right up there with food, clothing, and shelter sometimes. And that is an essential ingredient of what we mean by religion. Spirituality is obviously not something you go out and buy. You have to make it yourself. You have to do something. So it's in the category of self-produced goods that we'll talk a little bit more about as we go along. But can you think of the other self-produced good that there's a lot of economic chatter about? The economics of children, right? The economics of family is self-produced good. Housework is sometimes categorized as self-produced good. I'm sorry? Leisure, right? Leisure, recreational activities. You can't just buy it. You have to do it, right? So that's one of the three goods that make up religion. The second dimension of it is social. Religion is something that you belong to. Even though the spirituality is something you have to do for yourself and is intensely personal, religion always happens in groups. Now, when I say social, sometimes people say, oh, yeah, you go to church to meet your friends, right? Well, that's true, but that's not what we mean when we say religion is a social good. We mean that it's something that's done in groups. You belong to a religion, you participate in a religious activity with others. And from that perspective, religion has many of the same attributes as a club, right? And so the theory of clubs, the economic theory of clubs, applies very well to religion and gives us another angle with which, another perspective with which to look at this phenomenon. Now, the third good is what Ozzie and Ehrenberg called the afterlife good. All religions have something to say about what happens after you die, right? And to help you cope with the fact of your own mortality. Afterlife good seems to me to be a very religion specific. It's coming from a Christian perspective, perhaps. Christianity is not the only religion that talks about an afterlife, but I didn't think that it was absolutely necessary for a religion to talk about an afterlife. So I started thinking about this, and in particular, as an American Jew, I don't think a whole lot about an afterlife, and I was taught, whatever, that you're not supposed to live your life as though there was an afterlife in which you get rewarded. Your rewards are what you earn in this life. But then I thought about how actually what confounded me was that Ehrenberg did a follow-up study the following year in which he had a sample of American Jews, which showed that their response to the incentives of the afterlife good was even stronger than the average for all Americans. Now, what is this response? Well, if your rewards are going to come after you die, right, then you practice your religion. You do what the priests tell you to do as a sort of an investment. You don't have to believe anything, but just in case, right, they're right, you invest in this afterlife and the quality of your afterlife by doing what you're supposed to do in this life. And that suggests that you behave rationally as an investor. But unlike other investments that only pay off before you die, this is an investment that only pays off after you die. So it makes sense to do your other investments first so that you can enjoy the fruits of those investments while you're still around. And you postpone these investments until later in life. And they predicted that people would get more religiously active as they get older, and of course that's what they found. Other reasons have been given for that age pattern, but this was the one that they said was consistent with the economic incentives, and they found data that definitely supported that. And the data for Jews are stronger than the data for the Christian religions. And that kind of puzzled me. That I worried about. And I realized that what's essential here is not the fact of an afterlife or the possibility of an afterlife, but rather the nature of the investment. It's an investment that pays off after your own lifespan, beyond your lifespan. You are planting a tree not for yourself to enjoy the shade, but for your grandchild to enjoy the shade. You are investing in the Jewish community so that it will persist and be stronger for your investment in the future.